Can you actually explain? It'd be cool to talk about some of the stuff you created. Can you explain this photoai.com?
Yeah. So it's like fire your photographer. The idea is like you don't need a photographer anymore. You can train yourself as an AI model, and you can take as many photos as you want anywhere in any clothes, with facial expressions like happy or sad or poses, all this stuff.
So how does it work? So this is he sent me
so you can
a
press
link to a gallery of ones done on me, which is
so on the left you have the prompt, the box. So you can write like, so model is your model. This is Lex Fridman. So you can write like model as a blah blah blah, whatever you want. Then press the button and it will take photos. Will take like 1 minute.
Photos. What are you using for the hosting for the compute?
Replicate.
Okay.
Replicate.com. They're very, very good.
Okay, it's cool. Like this interface wise, it's cool that you're showing how long it's going to take. This is amazing. So it's taking I'm presuming you just loaded in a few pictures from the internet.
Yeah. So I went to Google Images, typed in Lex Fridman. I added like 10 or 20 images. You can open them in the gallery and you can use your cursors to, So some don't look like you. So the hit or miss rate is like, I don't know, let's say like 50-50 or something.
But when I was watching your tweets, like it's been getting better and better and better.
It was very bad in the beginning. It was so bad, but still people signed up to it,
There's 2 Lexes. It's great. It's getting more and more sexual. It's making me very uncomfortable.
Man, but that's the problem with these models. Because no, we need to talk about this because the models in diffusion. So the photorealistic models that are like fine-tuned, they were all trained on porn in the beginning. And there was a guy called Hassan. So I was trying to figure out how to do photorealistic AI photos. And it was Stable Diffusion by itself is not doing that well. Like the faces look all mangled. And it doesn't have enough resolution or something to do that well. So, but I started seeing these base models, these fine-tuned models, and people would train on porn. And I would try them and they would be very photorealistic. They would have bodies that actually made sense, like body anatomy. But if you look at the photorealistic models that people use now, there's still core of porn there, like of naked people. So I need to prompt out the naked, and everybody needs to do this with AI startups, with imaging. You need to prompt out the naked stuff. You need to put a, naked.
You have to keep reminding the model you need to put clothes on the thing.
Don't put naked because it's very risky. I have Google Vision that checks every photo before it's shown to the user. To like check
like
for
a nipple
NSFW.
detector. Yes. Oh, an SFW detector.
Because the journalists get very angry if they,
if you sexualize.
There was a journalist, I think, that got angry that used this and was like, oh, it showed like a nipple because Google Vision didn't detect it. So there's like these kind of problems you need to deal with, That's what I'm talking about. This is with cats. But look at the cat face; it's also kind of mangled.
I'm a little bit disturbed.
You can zoom in on the cat if you want, like click. Yeah, this is a very sad cat. And it doesn't have a nose.
It doesn't have a nose.
But that's but this is the problem with AI startups because they all act like it's perfect, like this is groundbreaking, but it's not perfect. It's like really bad, half the time.
So if I wanted to sort of update model as
so you remove this stuff and you write like whatever you want, like in Thailand or something, or in Tokyo.
In Tokyo.
Yeah.
And then
you could say like at night with neon lights, like you can add more detail.
I'll go in Austin. Do you think I'll know in Austin, Texas? In Austin, Texas,
with cowboy hats.
In Texas, yeah.
As a cowboy.
As a cowboy, it's gonna go so towards the porn direction. It's
man. I hope not. It's the end of my career.
Or the beginning. It depends. We can send you a push notification when your photos are done. Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah, let's see.
Oh wow! So this whole interface you've built. Yeah. This is really well done.
It's all jQuery. So I still use jQuery.
Yes,
the only one.
Still,
after
to
10
this
years.
day, you're not the only one. The entire of the web is PHP.
It's PHP and jQuery, and SQLite.
You're just like one of the top performers from a programming perspective that are still like openly talking about it. But everyone's using PHP. Like if you look, most of the web is still probably PHP and jQuery.
70%. It's because of WordPress, right? Because the blogs are.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I'm seeing a revival now. People are getting sick of frameworks. Like all the JavaScript frameworks are so like, what do you call it? Like wieldy. Like it takes so much work to just maintain this code. And then it updates to a new version. You need to change everything. PHP just stays the same and works.
Yeah.
And
can you actually just speak to that stack? You build all your websites, apps, startups, projects, all of that with mostly vanilla HTML.
Yeah.
JavaScript with jQuery, PHP, and a SQLite. So that's a really simple stack, and you get stuff done really fast with that. Can you just speak to the philosophy behind that?
I think it's accidental because that's the thing I knew. Like I knew PHP, I knew HTML, CSS, because you make websites. And when my startup started taking off, I didn't have time to. I remember putting on my to-do list like learn Node.js because it's important to switch, because this obviously is much better language than PHP. And I never learned it. I never did it because I didn't have time. These things were growing like this, and I was launching more projects, and I never had time. It's like one day, I'll start coding properly, and I never got to it.
I sometimes wonder if I need to learn that stuff. It's still to do it for me to really learn Node.js or Flask or these kind of
React, Vue.
React, and it feels like a responsible software engineer should know how to use these, but you can get stuff done so fast with vanilla versions of stuff.
Yeah, it's like software developers. If you want to get a job, and there's like, people making stuff like startups, and if you want to be entrepreneur, probably maybe you shouldn't. Right?
I wonder if there's I really want to measure performance and speed. I think there's a deep wisdom in that.
Yeah.
I do think that frameworks and just constantly wanting to learn the new thing, this complicated way of software engineering gets in the way. I'm not sure what to say about that because definitely you shouldn't build everything from just vanilla JavaScript or vanilla C, for example.
Yeah.
C++, when you're building systems engineering, is there's a lot of benefits for pointer safety and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, but it just feels like you can get so much more stuff done if you don't care about how you do it.
Man, this is my most controversial take, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's frameworks now that raise money. They raise a lot of money, like they raise $50 million, $100 million, $300 million. And the idea is that you need to make the developers, the new developers, like when you're 18 or 20 years old, right? Get them to use this framework and add a platform to it, like where the framework can. It is open source, but you probably should use the platform, which is paid, to use it. And the cost of the platforms to host it are 1,000 times higher than just hosting it on a simple AWS server or a VPS on DigitalOcean, right? So there's obviously like a monetary incentive here. Like we want to get a lot of developers to use this technology, and then we need to charge them money because they're going to use it in startups, and then the startups can pay for the bills. But it kind of destroys the information out there about learning to code because they pay YouTubers, they pay influencers, developer influencers is a big thing to and same thing what happens with nutrition and fitness or something. Same thing happens in developing. They pay these influencers to promote the stuff, use it, make stuff with it, make demo products with it. And then a lot of people are like, wow, use this. And I started noticing this because when I would ship my stuff, people would ask me, what are you using? I would say, just PHP, jQuery, why does it matter? And people would start kind of attacking me, like, why are you not using this new technology, this new framework, this new thing? And I say, I don't know, because this PHP thing works, and I'm optimizing for anything, it just works. And I never understood why, I understand there's new technologies that are better and there should be improvement, but I'm very suspicious of money, just like lobbying. There's money in this developer framework scene. There's hundreds of millions that goes to ads or influencers or whatever. It can't all go to developers. You don't need so many developers for a framework, and it's open source to make a lot of more money on these startups.
So that's a really good perspective. But in addition to that is when you say better, it's can we get some data on the better? Because I want to know from the individual developer perspective, and then from a team of 5, team of 10, team of 20 developers.
Yeah.
Measure how productive they are in shipping features, how many bugs they create, how many security holes.
PHP was not good with security for a while, but now it's good.
In theory, is it though?
Now it's good.
Now, now as you're saying it, I want to know if that's true because PHP was just the majority of websites on the internet.
Could be true.
Is it just overrepresented? Same with WordPress.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a reputation that WordPress has a gigantic number of security holes. I don't know if that's true. I know it gets attacked a lot because it's so popular. It definitely does have security holes, but maybe a lot of other systems have security holes as well. Anyway, I just sort of questioning the conventional wisdom that keeps wanting to push software engineers towards frameworks, towards complex, like super complicated sort of software engineering approaches that stretch out the time it takes to actually build a thing.
100%. And it's the same thing with big corporations. Like 80% of the people don't do anything. It's like it's not efficient. And if your benchmark is like people building stuff that actually gets done, and like for society, right? Like if we want to save time, we should probably use technology that's simple, that's pragmatic, that's like that works, that's not overly complicated, doesn't make your life like a living hell, you know.
And use a framework when it obviously solves a problem, a direct problem that you.
Of course, of course. I'm not saying you should code without a framework. You should use whatever you want, but yeah, I think it's suspicious, you know, and and I think it's suspicious when I talk about it on Twitter. Like there's this army comes out, you know, there's these framework armies. Yeah, it's something my gut tells me.
You know. I want to ask the framework army, what have they built this week? It's the Elon question. What did you do this week?
Yeah, and did you make money with it? You know, did you charge users? Is it a real business? And
so going back to the cowboy. First of all,
some don't look like you, right? But some do.
Every aspect of this is pretty incredible. I'm also just looking at the interface. It's really well done. So this is all just jQuery, and this is really well done. So like, take me through the journey of photo AI. Like, you don't know much. Most of the world doesn't know much about Stable Diffusion or any of this generative AI stuff. And so you're thinking, okay, how can I build cool stuff with this? Yeah. So what was the origin story of photo AI?
I think it started because Stable Diffusion came out. So Stable Diffusion is like the first like generative image model, AI model. And I started playing with it. Like you could install it on your Mac. Like somebody forked it and made it work for MacBooks. So I downloaded it and cloned the repo and started using it to generate images. And it was like amazing. Like I found it on Twitter because you see things happen on Twitter, and I would post what I was making on Twitter as well. And you could make any image, you could write a prompt. So essentially write a prompt and then it generates a photo of that or image of that in any style. Like they would use like artist names to make like a Picasso kind of style and stuff. And I was trying to see like, what is it good at? Is it good at people? No, it's really bad at people. But it was good at houses. So architecture, for example, I would generate like architecture houses. So I made a website called thishousedoesnotexist.org. And it generated like, they called it like house porn. Yeah, that one. Like house porn is like a subreddit. So, and this was Stable Diffusion, like the first version. So it looks really, you can click for another photo. So it generates like all these kind of non-existing houses.
It is house porn.
But it looked kind of good, you know? Like, especially back then. Like
it looks really good.
Now things look much better.
That's really, really well done. Wow.
And it also generates like a description.
And you can upvote. Is it nice? Upvote it.
Yeah.
Man, there's so much to talk to you about. Like the choices here. It's really well done.
This was very scrappy. In the bottom, there's like a ranking of the most upvoted houses. So these are the top voted. And if you go to all time, you see quite beautiful ones. Yeah. So this one is my favorite. The number one. It's like kind of like a...
How is this not more popular?
It was really popular for like a while, but then people got so bored of it. I think because I was getting bored of it too. Like just continuous house porn, like everything starts looking the same. But then I saw it was really good at interior. So I pivoted to interiorAI.com where I tried to like upload, first generate interior designs. And then I tried to do, like there was a new technology called image to image where you can input an image, like a photo, and it would kind of modify the thing. Mm-hmm. So you see it looks almost the same as photo. It's the same code essentially.
Nice.
So I would upload a photo of my interior where I lived, and I would ask like change this into like I don't know, like maximalist design, you know, and it worked really well. So I was like, okay, this is a startup because obviously interior design AI, and nobody was doing that yet. So I launched this, and it was successful and made like within a week made 10K, 20K a month, and now still makes like 40K, 50K a month, and it's been like 2 years. So then I was like, how can I improve this interior design? I need to start learning fine-tuning. And fine-tuning is where you have this existing AI model and you fine-tune it on a specific goal you want it to do. So I would find really beautiful interior design, make a gallery, and train a new model that was very good at interior design. And it worked, and I used that as well. And then for fun, I uploaded photos of myself. And here's what happened. And to train myself, like, and this would never work, obviously. And it worked. And actually, it started understanding me as a concept. So my face worked, and you could do like different styles, like me as a like very cheesy medieval warrior, all this stuff. So I was like, this is another startup. So now I did avatarai.me. I couldn't get the .com, and this was avatarai.me. Well, now it forwards to Photo.ai because it pivoted.
Got it.
But this was more like cheesy thing. So this is very interesting because this went so viral. It made like, I think like 150K in a week or something. It's the most money I ever made. And then this is very interesting. The big VC companies like Lensa, which are much better at iOS and stuff than me. I didn't have iOS app. They quickly built an iOS app that does the same, and they found technology, and it's all open technology, so it's good. And I think they made like $30 million with it.
Yeah,
they became like the top grossing app after that. And it was.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's amazing, honestly, and it's not like
you didn't have like a feeling like fuck.
No, I was a little bit like sad because all my products would work out, and I never had like real fierce competition. And now I have like fierce competition from like a very skilled, high talent like iOS developer studio or something that, and they already had an app. They had an app in the App Store for like I think retouching your face or something. So they were very smart. They add these avatars to there. It's a feature. They had the users. They do a push notification to everybody who have these avatars.
Yeah,
man, they made great. I think they made so much money, and I think they did a really great job. And I also made a lot of money with it. But that was. I quickly realized it wasn't my thing because it was so cheesy. It was like kitsch, you know. It's kind of like me as a Barbie or me as a, you know, it was too cheesy. I wanted to go for like, what's a real problem we can solve? Because this is going to be a hype. This is going to be, and it was a hype, these avatars. It's like, let's do real photography. Like, how can you make people look really photorealistic? And that was difficult. And that's why these avatars worked, because they were all like in a cheesy, you know, Picasso style. And art is easy because you interpret all the problems that AI has with your face are like artistic, you know, if you call it Picasso. But if you make a real photo, all the problems with your face, like it just, you look wrong, you know? So I started making Photo AI, which was like a pivot of it, where it was like a photo studio, where you could take photos without actually needing a photographer, needing a studio. You don't just, you know, you just type it. And I've been working on it for like the last year.
It's really incredible. That journey is really incredible. Let's go to the beginning of Photo AI though, because I remember seeing a lot of really hilarious photos. I think you were using yourself as a case study, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? There's a tweet here. Sold $100,000 in AI generated avatars.
Yeah, and it's a lot. Like it's a lot for anybody. It's a lot for me. Like making 10K a day on this, you know?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And then the nested tweet, like that's the launch tweet. And then before there is like the me hacking on it.
Oh, I see. So that, okay. So October 26, 2022.
Yeah.
I trained an ML model on my face.
Sure. Because my eyes are quite far apart. I learned when I did YouTube, I would put like a photo of like my DJ photo, you know, my mixture. And people would say I look like a hammerhead shark. It was like the top comment. So then I realized my eyes are far apart.
Yeah, the internet helps you.
Yeah, it helps you realize how you look, you know?
Boy, do I love the internet.
First trap.
Well, what is this? Wait.
And it's water from the waterfall. But the waterfall is in the back, you know? So what's going on?
So this is, how much of this is real?
It's all AI.
It's all AI.
Yeah.
That's pretty good though for the early days.
Exactly. So, but this was hit or miss. So you had to do a lot of curation because 99% of it was really bad. So these are the photos I uploaded.
How many photos did you use? Only these. I will try more up-to-date pics later. These are the only photos you uploaded?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so like you were learning all this super quickly. What are some like interesting details you remember from that time for like what you had to figure out to make it work? And for people just listening, he uploaded just a handful of photos that don't really have a good capture of the face. And he's able to already...
I think it's cropped. It's like a cropped by the layout, but they're square photos, so they're 512 by 512 because that's Stable Diffusion.
But nevertheless, not great capture of the face.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's not like a collection of several hundred photos that is like
exactly. Like I would
view.
imagine that too when I started. I was like, oh, this must be like some 3D scan technology, right?
Yeah.
So I think the cool thing with AI, it trains the concept of you. So it's literally like learning, just like any AI model learns. It learns how you look. Mm-hmm. So I did this, and then I was getting I was getting DMs like Telegram messages, like, how can I do the same thing? I want these photos. Mm-hmm. My girlfriend wants these photos. So I was like, okay, this is obviously a business, but I didn't have time to code it, make a whole like app about it. So I made an HTML page, registered the domain name, and this was not even, it was a Stripe payment link, which means you have literally a link to Stripe to pay, but there's no code in the back. So all you know is you have customers that paid money. And then I added like a Typeform link. So Typeform is a site where you can create like your own input form, like Google Forms. So they would get an email with a link to the Typeform, or actually just a link after the checkout, and they could upload their photos. So enter their email, upload the photos, and I launched it. And I was like, here, first sale. So that's October 2022. And I think within like the first 24 hours was like, I'm not sure, it was like 1,000 customers or something. But the problem was I didn't have code to automate this, so I had to do manually. Mm-hmm. So the first few hundred, I just literally took their photos, trained them, and then I would generate the photos with the prompts, and I had this text file with the prompts, and I would do everything manually. And this quickly became way too much. So, but that's another constraint. Like I was forced to code something up that would do that. And that was essentially making it into a real website, right?
So at first it was the Typeform, and they uploaded through the Typeform.
Stripe checkout Typeform, yeah.
And then you were like, that image is downloaded. Did you write a script to export?
No,
like,
I just download the images myself as a zip file, to unzip the zip file.
And you unzipped it?
Yeah, unzipped
one
it.
by
one. Yes, and then because, do things don't scale, Paul Graham says, right? So, and then I would train it, and then I would email them the photos, I think from my personal email, say, here's your avatars, and they liked it. They were like, wow, it's amazing.
You emailed them with your personal email?
I didn't have an email address on this domain.
And this is like 100 people.
Yeah, and then you know who signed up? Like, man, I cannot say, but really famous people, like really, really like billionaires, famous tech billionaires did it. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I was like so scared to mess them. So I said, thanks so much for using my site. He's like, yeah, amazing app, great work. So it's like, this is different than normal reaction,
It's Bill Gates, isn't it?
Cannot say anything.
Just like shirtless pics.
GDPR, like privacy, European regulation.
Right.
Cannot share anything. But I was like, wow. And but this shows like, so you make something, and then if it takes off very fast, you're like, it's validated, you're like, here's something that people really want. But then also I thought, this is hype, this is gonna die down very fast, and it did, because it's too cheesy.
But you had to automate the whole thing. How'd you automate it? So like, what's the AI component? Like, how hard was that to figure out?
Okay, so that's actually in many ways the easiest thing, because there is all these platforms already back then. There was platforms for fine-tune Stable Diffusion. Like now I use Replicate. Back then I used different platforms, which was funny because that platform, when this thing took off, I would tweet, because I tweet always like how much money these websites make. And then so you call it vendor, right? The platform that did the GPUs, they increased their price for training from $3 to $20 after they saw that I was making so much money. So immediately my profit is gone because I was selling them for $30. And I was in a Slack with them, like saying, what is this? Like, can you just put it back to $3? They say, yeah, maybe in the future. We're looking at it right now. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you just took all my money, And they're smart.
Well, they're not that smart because like you also have a large platform and a lot of people respect you. So you can literally come out and say that.
But I think it's like kind of dirty to cancel a company or something. I prefer just bringing my business elsewhere. But there was no elsewhere back then.
Right.
So I started talking to other AI model ML platforms. So Replicate was on those platforms, and I started DMing the CEO, say, can you please create, like, it's called Dream Booth, this fine tuning of yourself. Can you add this to your site? Because I need this because I'm being price gouged. And he said, no, because it takes too long to run. It takes half an hour to run, and we don't have the GPUs for it. I said, please, please, please. And then after a week, they said, we're doing it. We're launching this. And then this company it was like not very famous company. It became very famous with this stuff because suddenly everybody was like, oh, we can build similar apps, like avatar apps, and everybody started building avatar apps, and everybody started using Replicate for it. And And that was from these early DMs with like the CEO, like Ben Fursh, very nice guy. And he was like, they never price gouged me. They never treated me bad. They always been very nice. It's a very cool company. So you can run any ML model, any AI model, LLMs, you can run on here.
And you can scale.
Yes, they scale. Yeah. And I mean, you can click on the model and just run it already. It's like super easy. You log in with GitHub.
That's great.
And by running it on the website, then you can automate with the API. You can make a website that runs the model.
Generate images, generate text, generate video, generate music, generate
video,
speech,
like
fine-tune models.
They do anything, yeah. It's a very cool company.
Nice. And you're like growing with them essentially. They grew because of you because it's like a big use case.
Yeah, like the website even looks weird now. It started as like a machine learning platform. That was like, I didn't even understand what it did. It was just too ML, you know? Like you would understand because you're in the ML world. I wouldn't understand.
Now it's noob friendly.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't know how it worked. And but I knew that they could probably do this. And they did it. They built the models and now I use them for everything. And we trained like, I think now like 36,000 models, 36,000 people already.
But is there some tricks to fine tuning to like the collection of photos that are provided? Like how do you like...
Yes, man, there's so many hacks.
The hacks.
It's like 100 hacks to make it work.
What are some
give my secrets now? You know?
Well, not the secrets, but the more like insights maybe about the human face and the human body. Like what kind of stuff get messed up a lot?
I think people, well, man, it's a living. People don't know how they look. So they generate photos of themselves and then they say, it doesn't look like me.
Yeah.
But it does, then you can check the training photos. It does look like you, but you don't know how you look. So there's a face dysmorphia of yourself that you have no idea how you look.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, I've got to one of the least pleasant activities in my existence is having to listen to my voice and look at my face. Yeah, so I get to like really have to sort of come into terms with the reality of how I look and how I sound.
And everybody, but
people often don't, right? Like
really,
you have a distorted perspective.
I know that. Like I would make a selfie how I think I look, that's nice. Other people think that's not nice. But then they make a photo of me. I'm like, that's super ugly. But then they're like, no, that's how you look and you look nice. You know, so how other people see you is nice. So you need to ask other people to choose your photos.
Yeah.
You shouldn't choose them yourself because you don't know how you look.
Yeah, you don't know what makes you interesting, what makes you attractive, or all this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
And a lot of us, this is a dark aspect of psychology. We focus on some small flaws.
Yeah.
This is why I hate plastic surgery, for example. People try to remove the flaws when the flaws are the thing that makes you interesting and attractive.
I learned from the hammerhead shark eyes, the stuff about you that looks ugly to you, and it's probably that what makes you original, makes you nice, and people like it about you.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh my God. And people notice it. People notice your hammerhead eyes, you know? But it's like, that's me, that's my face. So I love myself, and that's confidence, and confidence is attractive.
Yes.
Right?
Confidence is attractive. But yes, understanding what makes you beautiful. It's the breaking of symmetry makes you beautiful. It's the breaking of the average face makes you beautiful. All of that.
Yeah.
And obviously different for men and women at different ages, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
But underneath it all, the personality, all of that, when the face comes alive, that also is the thing that makes you beautiful.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have to figure all that out with AI.
Yeah. One thing that worked was like people would upload full body photos of themselves. So I would crop the face, right? Because then the model knew better that we're training mostly the face here. But then I started losing resemblance of the body because some people are skinny, some people are muscular, whatever. So you want to have that too. So now I mix full body photos in the training with face photos, face crops. And it's all automatic. Like, and I know that other people, they use, again, AI models to detect like what are the best photos in this training set and then train on those. But it's all about training data, and that's with everything in AI. Like how good your training data is in many ways more important than how many steps you train for, like how many months or whatever with the GPUs. Like the gold.
Do you have any guidelines for people of like how to get good data, how to give good data to fine tune on?
Like the photos should be diverse. So, for example, if I only upload photos with a brown shirt or green shirt, the model will think that I'm training the green shirt. So the things that are the same every photo are the concepts that are trained. What you want is your face to be the concept that's trained, and everything else to be diverse, like different.
So diverse lighting as well, diverse everything.
Yeah, outside, inside. But there's no like, this is the problem. There's no like manual for this, and nobody knew. We were all just, especially 2 years ago, we were all hacking, trying to test anything, anything you can think of, and it's frustrating. It's one of the most frustrating and also fun and challenging things to do because with AI, because it's a black box, and like Karpati, I think says this, like we don't really know how this thing works, but it does something, but nobody really knows why, right? Like we cannot look into the model of an LLM, like what is actually in there. We just know it's like a 3D matrix of numbers, right? So it's very frustrating because some things you think they're obvious that they will improve things will make them worse. And there's so many parameters you can tweak. So you're testing everything to, improve things.
I mean, there's a whole field now of mechanistic interpretability that like studies that, tries to break things apart and understand how it works. But there's also the data side and the actual like consumer facing product side of figuring out how you get it to generate a thing that's beautiful or interesting or naturalistic, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And you're like at the forefront of figuring that out about the human face. Yeah. And humans really care about the human face.
They're very vain. Yeah, like me, like I want to look good on your podcast, for example. Yeah, for sure.
And then one of the things I actually would love to like rigorously use photo AI, because for the thumbnails, I take portraits of people. I don't know shit about photography. I basically used your approach for photography. I like Google, how do you take photographs? Yeah. Camera, lighting. And also it's tough because maybe you could speak to this also, but like with photography, no offense to any, they're true artists, great photographers, but like people like take themselves way too seriously, think you need a whole lot of equipment. You definitely don't want one light. You need like 5 lights.
Man, I know this.
and you have to have like the lenses. And I talked to a guy, an expert of shaping the sound in a room. Okay. And because I was thinking, I'm going to do a podcast studio, whatever. I should probably like do a sound treatment on the room. And like when he showed up and analyzed the room, he thought everything I was doing was horrible. And that's when I realized, like, you know what? I don't need experts in my life.
Did you kick him out of the house?
No, I didn't kick him. I mean, I said, thank you very much.
Thank you, great tips. Bye.
I just felt like there is, focus on whatever the problems are. Use your own judgment. Use your own instincts. Don't listen to other people. And only consult other people when there's a specific problem. And you consult them not to offload the problem onto them, but to gain wisdom from their perspective. Even if their perspective is ultimately one you don't agree with, you're going to gain wisdom from that. And I ultimately come up with a PHP solution, PHP and jQuery solution to the PHP Studio. Like I have a little suitcase. I use like just the basic sort of consumer type of stuff. One light. It's great.
Yeah, and look at you. You're like one of the top podcasts in the world, and you get millions of views, and it works. And the people that spend so much money on optimizing for the best sound, for the best studio, they get like 300 views, So what is this about? This is about that either you do it really well, or also that a lot of these things don't matter. Mm-hmm. Like what matters is probably the content of the podcast. Like you get the interesting guests.
Focus on the stuff that matters.
Yeah, and I think this is very common. They call it gear acquisition syndrome, like gas. Like people in any industry do this. They just buy all the stuff. There was a meme recently, like you buy, what's the name for the guy that buys all the stuff before he even started doing the hobby, right? Marketing, marketing does that to people. They want to buy this stuff.
Yeah.
But like, man, you can make a Hollywood movie on an iPhone, if the content is good enough, and it would probably be original because you would be using an iPhone for it, So
that said, the reason I brought that up with photography, there is wisdom from people, and one of the things I realized, you probably have also realized this, but how much power light has to convey emotion. You just take one light and move it around. Say you're sitting in the darkness, move it around your face. The different positions or having a second light potentially. You can play with how a person feels just from a generic face. It's interesting. Like you can make people attractive, you can make them ugly, you can make them scary, you can make them lonely, all of this. And so you kind of start to realize this. And I would definitely love AI help in creating great portraits of people.
Guest photos, yeah.
Guest photos, for example, that's a small use case, but for me, that's I suppose it's an important use case because like I want people to look good, but I also want to capture who they are. Maybe my conception of who they are, what makes them beautiful, what makes their appearance powerful in some ways. Sometimes it's the eyes, oftentimes it's the eyes, but there's certain features of the face can sometimes be really powerful. And I can't, it's also kind of awkward for me to take photographs. So I'm not collecting enough photographs for myself to do it with just those photographs. If I can load that off onto AI and then start to play with like, lighting,
you should do this, and you should probably do it yourself. Like you can use Photo, but it's even more fun if you do it yourself. So you train the models. You can learn about like ControlNet. ControlNet is where, for example, your photos in your podcast are usually like from the angle, right? Mm-hmm. So you can create a ControlNet face pose that's always like this. So every photo you generate uses this ControlNet pose, for example. I think it would be very fun for you to try out that stuff.
Do you play with lighting at all? Do you play with lighting, with pose, with the...
Man, actually, this week or recently, there's a new model came out that can adjust the light of any photo, but also AI image with Stable Diffusion. I think it's called Relight, and it's amazing. Like you can upload kind of like a light map. So, for example, red, purple, blue, and it uses that light map to change the light on the photo you input. It's amazing. So there's for sure a lot of stuff you can do.